A very good morning to all of you. We are back with our webinar series, but something that's very much up on our mind is what you see on your screen. On August 17th, we are going to have the Texas Regional Workshop for Disaster Resilient Food, Energy, Water Systems. We have the privilege of having a very esteemed panel of guest speakers who will be talking about their perspective on disasters. And we have the panel titled Anatomy of a Disaster. So you see our panelists up here, and we have registration open. It is a full day of workshop with the opening panel, and then we will have very intense discussion sessions on convergence research, diversity, equity, and culture of inclusion, and education and workforce development. So this is a chance for all of you to join us and participate in this workshop so that we can formulate your research questions and we can conduct research on that topic through this unique National Science Foundation program on sustainable regional systems. With that, I will stop my screen share, and Ignacy, if you will go ahead. So it is my very humble privilege to invite Dr. Ignacy Paulo Rivera from the Rapid Institute. Rapid Institute has been something that we all developed together, and Texas A&M University has been involved right from the beginning of the concept development and through the process of Rapid Institute's development. We have been privileged to have conducted 3 projects under the Rapid Institute, and it's something that we are working to grow together. Rapid's involvement in disaster resilient food, energy, water systems is very unique perspective that Rapid brings from the perspective of process intensification. And Dr. Rivera, I will turn it over to you for giving us a overview of Rapid. At the workshop that you just saw, we will be having a more detailed discussion on Rapid Institute's topics and what Rapid brings to the table for advanced manufacturing. But today's workshop is kind of like a preview to that that's we are going to have in August. So over to you, Ignacy.
Thank you, Devalina. Thank you for having me here, and thank you for having Rapid as part of these series of workshops and project to develop these very interesting topics. So as Devalina said, I'm going to give a high-level overview of Rapid, and not just of Rapid, but fundamentally about the type of work we do and how our vision of using the type of technologies and concepts that we develop or help develop for emergency response and disaster resilience. That's not how or the primary reason some of these concepts were developed, but it's very clear that a lot of the technologies and the approach that we've been developing within Rapid work very well, and they fit almost seamlessly. So I will make an attempt in that. So without further ado, I wanted to keep this presentation a title somewhat our kind of standard title for Rapid presentations, because I like it a lot, and I think it brings some of these ideas. So it's the idea of transforming process industries through modular chemical process intensification. In this instance, that applies, but it's beyond the process industries, but transformation through the application of these modular intensified technologies. That's what the point I want to emphasize. Presenting myself, Ignacy Paulo Rivera. I'm the executive director and CTO for Rapid. And as Evelina says, Texas A&M has been part of the Rapid network since its inception back in 2016, 2017, and going forward. And we are also proud to be part of these projects. So what is Rapid, or what does Rapid do? So as a high-level institute of review, we work in a number of things, or we collaborate in a number of things, and we collaborate with our members and our community. Rapid is a membership institute, is a membership organization. So there is members, and those folks in our members, staff and our member organizations are connected. And I would say our extended community is who we interact with. We work in education, workforce development, technology development, specifically through projects, developing technical tools, and then delivering them through events and partnerships. So you can find more information on our Rapid website. We can go into more detail just to give a little bit of context. From a organizational standpoint, a Rapid is what we call a public-private partnership between AICHE and the Advanced Manufacturing Office of the Department of Energy. Rapid is one of 16 manufacturing innovation institutes of the Manufacturing USA network. Okay, Manufacturing USA network started, around 10 years ago or so. Idea originating from Department of Commerce with the goal, the drive of bringing manufacturing back to the USA, or to relaunching manufacturing as a core activity of the US going forward, and to do so focusing on advanced manufacturing. Okay, so it's innovating ways to manufacture in the US, and develop the technology for these advanced manufacturing, but also the workforce and the next generation, and to rebuild manufacturing as an advanced technological, but also societally improved way from workforce diversity, inclusion of all groups. All Manufacturing USA, Manufacturing USA, and the institutes that you see here, there's a number of them, and all of them have kind of a sandbox in which they work on from a technical point of view. Even though Manufacturing USA started at the Department of Commerce, the institutes, there is a split of the institutes working with Department of Commerce, Department of Defense, and Department of Energy. Rapid is particularly one of the Department of Energy ones, as you see down there. The Rapid member community, a snapshot of the member community, as you see here. This is a slide that we're constantly updating. Fortunately, because of new members joining, there's always some attrition, but it's fairly minimal. We are very proud of that fact. As you can see, different types of organizations: industrial, academic, R&D, large companies, medium companies, smaller companies. We try to include everybody by having a bit of a tiered membership. You see Texas A&M up there to the top right, one of our few choice university members. A few other organizations I'm sure all of you can recognize. We're in the mid 80s to 90 members. As I said, it changes a little bit, the final number, but very proud of the breadth and depth of our membership. Getting a little bit more into what we do for folks, and I mentioned about technical tools and resources, just high level a snapshot on those. We have a test network in which we kind of bring classified list of equipment and test and pilot equipment that some of our members have that could be or should be available for other members to use after the right contractual agreements. Similarly, we offer the Rapid Software Toolbox list of software models and data for developed by members and available to other members to either use or at least have access to. We share what we do within Rapid projects, the Rapid review and the Deploy conference series that I will bring some more. We do some level of consulting. We publish or about to publish an MCPI guidelines that's modular chemical process intensification guidelines. I'll get into that into a little bit more detail. Some of these tools and resources are naturally geared in priority towards members, although some of the other ones, there is some level of availability to those non-members. And when we talk about members and non-members, it's those organizational members. So folks within those organizations are considered to be members. Sometimes from logistic reasons to access some of these resources have to go through the kind of member representatives at their organization, but they have access to these facilities and to these tools. Deploy conference series, we started last year. This is kind of a focused conferences last workshop that we've been doing. We've had 3 editions in the last 12 plus months, and we're preparing for our 4th deploy next week in Morgantown, West Virginia. This one is going to be focused on advanced energetics reactor technology. So, you know, kind of microwave, induction, plasma reactors. Very excited about that. We're going to be visiting NETL and their microwave reactor facilities. You see snapshots from the first 3 editions of Deploy. We focused on waste to products, capturing and converting waste carbon and process electrification. So always looking at that transformation of the process industries into new places, and always taking very much into account sustainability, diversity, social and environmental issues key to our industry. So kind of backtracking a little bit and looking why Rapid was established and why Rapid addresses the issues it addresses. You know, given that Rapid, it's a partnership with the Department of Energy, clearly energy use and efficiency of energy use is key for us. There's a realization that the process industries are the largest consumers of energy in the industrial sector. And therefore, when looking at transforming industry and manufacturing into a more efficient from an energy point of view and from a resource point of view, we need to address the process industries. I would say similarly, when we are addressing any emergency response, any disaster situation, efficiency, the best, most efficient use of resources, and energy is a key resource, others are too, is critical. So using or recognizing and bringing technologies in the modular chemical process intensification space are key to unlocking those improvements for a more efficient energy use. You see there a plot from one of the DOE reports showing that even in very mature industries, there is a sizable, large, I would say, opportunity of increasing energy efficiency, that is, of using less energy for equivalent outputs from R&D. Even, you know, there's an impractical one that we sort of not address or not focus on, but there is all those green bars you see there, in which we need to develop technologies to access them. It's not just about doing a best known technology, but I was out developing, and that's where in that green to area is where Rapid goes. So as I said, process industries, why? And we take a fairly expansive view of process industries beyond the traditional chemical and refining industries, obviously the largest in terms of energy use, but also looking at other industries, wood, pulp and paper, construction materials, some glass and cement, food and beverage, agriculture, primary metals, all those are very much process industries and that integrated flow systems, a continuum that use large amounts of industry of energy and resources, and that we can contribute to make more efficient, more sustainable, more inclusive. Rapid Institute mission and metrics. These are kind of the formalized metrics by which we kind of measure ourselves doing all the good things we want to do. We need to build, and we are building, a self-sustaining member consortium so that we start using all these, public funding with a cost share funding from our members. But the idea is to go to a self-sustaining consortium going forward to develop and apply these technologies more resilient. There you go, lower costs and reduce energy footprint in the process industries, and I would say and beyond. And so you see here some snapshot of our metrics and our successes to date. Next slide that I have is a bit of an exercise that I myself did a few years ago, in which to show that these very kind of even narrow or very focused metrics that the DOE gave us at the beginning of the Institute back in the 2016-2017 frame can also be looked or read in much more expansive ways. We don't need to limit ourselves as, oh, we need to improve 20% energy efficiency and not look beyond. There is a bigger picture, and this attempt was at kind of bringing one of the kind of objective, bigger picture attempts out there, the UN Sustainable Development Goals, and looking at how do these very focused metrics from the DOE fit within these bigger picture ideas and goals from the UN. And if you see, they fit. There is good coverage. There is good. There's a bit of a heat map that I put together in which you see that all these very focused metrics really address or fit within these larger idea goals. So I think that's important in the sense that what we as Rapid and we as a community need to do is move some of these technologies, some of these ideas, some of these organizations forward, and we will contribute to these loftier goals. Sometimes loftier goals are difficult to find the right actions for it, and that's the idea that smaller actions can be brought up to there. Another way to do all that is through education, students and engineers, and I would say beyond as well. We have started in the community that we were more familiar with. We Rapid is part of AICHE, so that's the chemical engineering community. So we started there just because that's the experience, that's who we are, educating students and engineers. We're moving forward, and beyond that, we just started a large project addressing operator training and bringing that K-12 students growing into these topics, right? Into operating, into engineers. We have to start these ideas early on in order to build them up. At the same time, we have to address the needs of the current workforce. It's not just about the incoming workforce, but it's also about the existing workforce. So we have developed a process intensification credential that allows current engineers, I would say young and old and in between, to kind of train themselves and to learn about these new technologies and how they can be applied, and also to show that training, not to, to have a badge showing that an organization such as Rapid and the ACHE have put together a curriculum that they, consistent curriculum, and that they have gone through that training. Another interesting topic or issue that we have done is the CamiCube, and that really fits very nicely with some of the work being done in this project. These CamiCube is a new student contest. It has teams of students, and you see there we did the piloting last year at AICHE annual, in which teams from 5 rapid universities of chemical engineering and other students developed and built a modularized chemical plant into a 1-foot cube, as you see there in the pictures. This first pilot edition and the next one we're going to do this fall at the meeting at the annual meeting in Phoenix is focusing on water cleanup. So this is a 1-foot cube modular water cleanup. You see there are filters and pumps pilot unit. It's great to see students think about how to do that, how to do it cost effectively, in a resilient manner. So a lot of future, a lot of interesting on this CamiCube. Keep your ears out, and we're expanding it, and a lot of excitement around it. Test network, I touched that a little bit before. We're testing the concept of sharing testing and pilot facilities between members for the future. We don't need to rebuild a lot of testing facilities. There is a lot of facilities that folks have from existing projects that can be used much more effectively, that can be shared. So let's try to do that. Let's build facilities and new capabilities when we need it, but let's move away from always starting from scratch, taking it down, getting rid of it, thus contributing to waste at the end of a project, and instead, go to members, facilitate the sharing of facilities going forward. It's tricky. It's not a culture that our industry and some of us as part of our networks and the R&D world have. We tend to see projects as separate, facilities as separate. Let's go to a better way, both in facilities, on software, on all tools. So collaboration is also another form of efficiency and efficient work going forward. So let me go more to what is process intensification. How do we do process development for intensified processes? What is modularization? To see how we can take advantage of all these questions going forward. Process development has evolved through the years. From I would say, these are a slide. Cliff Kowal, retired from Lubrizol and Rapid's official chief evangelist, created a few years ago, in which you see the evolution from kind of small batch to large batch to kind of the chemical engineering revolution in the late 1800s to early 1900s, when the application of science to processes started, the concept of unit operations, to then kind of backtracking a little bit or merging, going back to a phenomena-based approach and where we are today. There is evolution. There is a few things you see in the middle, but we are, as chemical engineers or process developers, constantly reevaluating and looking at how we do it better. And we believe that we are at one of those points in which we go from a process development as usual, and I would, say that for a few years or even a few decades, we've been a bit stagnant in that world, to a revolution, to a transformation in what we do. So this idea of modular and process intensification can also be kind of, in some ways, quite academically reflected in this slide, in which this taxonomy that was originally developed by Stankiewicz and Moulin from the European side, and then kind of expanded with modular processing by Paul Yelvington, previous CTO for Rapid, in this slide, in which You see the expansive nature of these processes, ideas. They cover a lot. They are complicated, but they are extremely powerful and can bring that extra efficiency and transformational power to the industry and beyond. A bit of an attempt at defining intensification. Process intensification is a difficult term to define. It means a lot of chemical engineers have a notion of what it means, how to define it, how to put an agreed definition on paper. Not quite as easy. Throwing some concepts at it a lot easier. Efficiency improvements, waste reduction, safety improvements, reduction in expenses, operating capital, and the like. Those are all things that fit with it. National Science Foundation PI workshop back in 2014 kind of brought a lot of those concepts, and I would say that was one of the places where the ideas that eventually gave rise to Rapid were brought. It was kind of a preamble to the Rapid roadmap in the 2016-17. Even in more general places like a dictionary, you see that change to make things work. In this case, talk a smaller volume, same performance. That's a bit of a narrow definition, but it's this idea of doing as much or more, I would say, with less, that make more with less. So if you look at an efficiency point of view, there's a numerator and a denominator. So it's making both at the same time, one larger and the other one smaller, not just affecting a little bit one of the two. Another definition, this one from DOE in 2015, that idea of rethinking operation schemes, precision and efficiency improvements. And then that leads me to how we look at it from the Rapid side. Okay, and that's a slide that I've presented, I would say at this point, hundreds of times, that focuses how we look at this concept of MCPI, modular chemical process intensification. And I have to admit that we're toying with the idea of dropping the C in there and just looking at modular process intensification, kind of with the evolution of we don't want to be constrained, or we don't want people to think that we're constrained at looking at chemical production, but we're looking beyond at any kinds of processing. But we come from the chemical world, or most of us on the Rapid side. So process intensification, rethinking to dramatically improve performance. Shift from the unit operation paradigm, that idea that chemical engineers make processes by stringing unit operations and sometimes kind of recycling back to them, but going to a more integrative paradigm, that idea of integrating the underlying transformative phenomena within the unit operations. The transition from batch to continuous is a key one on that, in which in batch we do an operation, then we stop, we clean up, we go to the next operation. In continuous, there is continuous, therefore the word, a movement of material between operations, and it's done in a way that doesn't require any stopping. So a much more efficient use of equipment, capital, resources. Modular processing is a bit of a twist that Rapid and the Rapid thinking, or at the beginning of Rapid, brought in, which is this intensification, the idea of process intensification, allow us to make smaller processes. By making smaller processes, we allow, or we have the ability to go to a distributed manufacturing. We can move away, I would say, in many instances, I'm not going to claim in all instances, but in many instances, to move away from the traditional centralized nature of a lot of processing, particularly the chemical industry. You know, all of you have seen large refineries and petrochemical complexes. They're very efficient in some ways, they're very inefficient in other ways. by going to distributed manufacturing, we enable, or by going to modular manufacturing, we enable distributed manufacturing. So we can do manufacturing that is more efficient by doing it close to where the feedstock are. We can address what could be seen as a disadvantaged feedstocks that are not of a quality or of a cost that makes their running in centralized places appropriate or commercial, but that has a lot of ability by being manufactured or being addressed distributed. We can also manufacture close to where the products will be used. And you start seeing, and I'm hinting at how some of these distributed modular manufacturing or units can be used for a resilience response and emergency response, right? I mean, we can make things close to where we are when we don't have to making somewhere far away and take them. We can do them close by. We can use what we have to make what we need in a distributed capacity. To do that, we need to show that it can be done in a cost-effective way. You know, the idea of the bigger is better is very much following the economies of scale, which are real, but there is a way to break them by going smaller and modular and going through a numbering up approach in some cases, and when doing it, applying some of these intensified processing. So that's the basis of what we've been doing and are doing in Rapid. We've done it in a number of technologies and places by using these modular systems. Reaction and separation and heat transfer are at the core of any process transformation, but we also need to use kind of a modern process design tools, computing, multi-scale modeling in order to do it, right? We're looking at using new tools to do manufacturing, so that's important. So I will now just move on to show you a snapshot of a couple of projects and tasks we've done within Rapid to give you a flavor of the idea of the things we've done and how can we start using them, expanding them for other uses. Batch to continuous is a topic I touched on. We have a particularly successful project in which two of our core members, University of Pittsburgh and Lubrizol, collaborated to convert a batch system for a specialty material, a surfactant, an additive. When there was an extension that they needed to expand capacity, instead of building yet another batch system like the one they decided, let's look into making continuous systems. And instead of making one large batch, they decided, let's scale up by going smaller batch systems and adding that capacity. Okay, and that's what you see here, that 4 of these smaller continuous systems adds up to the capacity. What these allowed them is access the incredible savings you see there. 90% lower CapEx, 30% plus lower OpEx, improved project quality, but also being able to scale up to capacity much faster. And I think that's critical. In under 20 months, they were able to do that. And not only that, but they were able to do it, or they are able to do it little by little. It's not, let's wait for the next 20,000 ton a year batch system to be done before we can start getting some more capacity online, but we can do it by building 1 module, then 2 module, 3 module, 4th module. So that the increase on this capacity starts much sooner. And also things happen and we might need to bring it back. At some point, the estimate is 20,000 more tons, but at some point, maybe 10,000 is enough. Gives us a lot more flexibility and we can adapt. Again, flexibility and adaptation keys for emergency response and resilience. This case, we needed and we did sponsor some work that looked at how these ideas of modular numbering up, modular systems work from a purely commercial standpoint. Um, and what they saw is what you see in these plots here, is that being able to increase capacity early and progressively has some serious advantages. At some point, at some capacity, the economies of scale might win out. But if we do it right, and we have an ever more changing world, whether it be from market economics, from climate and emergency responses, flexibility has real value. The ability to change quickly without a large capacity committed in the ground that is very difficult to change has more and more value. I'll emphasize a little bit on modularization. You see some pictures here. The idea is that reduction of a capital cost and reduction of financial risk, but also these concepts of opening markets to new players. Traditionally, the process industries, if you look at especially, a chemical industry, it's an industry in which incumbents have large advantage, right? They have existing capacity. It's expensive capital. Building new capacity at large centralized units is very difficult, from access to capital, from risk. So being able to scale up through smaller units, these modular units, helps new players. In a way, as my predecessor at the helm of Rapid likes to say, it democratizes the process industries. To me, this idea of democratization is where we see a diversification in both what we make and who makes it, and not just who makes it in terms of who works there, but also who owns these facilities and when they're located, and who the stakeholders are. So dynamic adjustment to markets, kind of following market demand, increasing when we need to, being stable and reducing when we need to, and being able to adapt to all these changes is important. Fastest scale up, numbering up versus scale up. If we're numbering up, we can add and take capacity away quickly, instead of just going to full idle on and off. We bring a lot of efficiency to the fabrication. Modular units could be seen as maybe more expensive, but they have substantial gains on how they're made. They tend to be made in a shop that specializes on them instead of being made on purpose at the field, which increases a cost and kind of cost overruns. If you look at large facilities, the cost that we need to look, it's not the cost in which was planned, but the final cost. And you'll see increasingly large, high costs later in the fabrication, in the actual setting up the facilities that were not planned for. And this idea too of increased reliability to redundancy. You have more smaller units closer to whether either the feedstock is or the products are going to be used. When there's an issue, if we lose capacity, we don't lose that much percentage of the capacity. We're also able to bring it back online quicker. So increased reliability due to redundancy is an important point. So with this, I will stop here. I'm going to thank you, giving you some references for further questions. Now I believe we should have some time for questions. Happy to have a conversation. More information from Rapid you see there in our own subsection of the ASCHE website, and a generic email that goes to us at Rapid that allows you to start a conversation, to have questions, to get in contact with us. So thank you. Happy to answer some questions and have a conversation now, and hopefully in a couple of weeks when we can see each other at Texas A&M as well.
Thank you, Ignacy. And I think we already have one question. How can academic researchers tap into RAPID?
Good question. I'm going to say two different ways. Uh, if your academic institution already is a RAPID member, you have it ready-made. Normally, the best way is through contacting us or contacting who in your institution is already the contact with RAPID, and we can get you involved in a lot of the things we do pretty quickly. Membership is important for us, and I would say it's important especially for academic collaborations, because the membership agreement, includes what I would call a mini NDA, so it allows us to have very focused conversations and to reach out and to help you reach out to our commercial and industrial players without a worry of IP leakage or commercial sensitivities. If you are not in an institution, there's a RAPID member, well, then become a member. Easier said than done. Easier said than done, right? It's critical for us, and that's one of the things we're doing at this point. And I wanted to mention, and this is a good time, that the RAPID is going through a transformation, through a transition year, I should say, in which we are finishing our original agreement with the DOE, and we're moving to a more diversified phase that hopefully will have a second agreement with the DOE, but also has other ways to work with folks. We have projects with members and non-members, collaborative projects. We have activities. We have industrial focused projects. As part of that, we are and have kind of reimagined membership and making some adjustments. One of these adjustments is how to keep and increase our connection and network in the academic and research community, particularly with institutions that have not maybe been as involved or as part of R&D activities in the past, and particularly looking at minority serving institutions, HBCUs, historically Black colleges and universities, and the like. And we're looking at how to make easier for these universities to become members of RAPID without maybe having to bring the large financial membership fees and the like that other universities have done. So we are coming up with a lower tier of university membership for those who are not actively involved in projects but want to be part of the community, and very much looking at strategically bringing institutions serving traditionally underserved minorities and communities, whether it be those universities I mentioned before or community colleges, right? So talk to us. We have exciting plans, and we can work together going forward.
I think, Ignacio, I'll add to that. The second phase of the SRS-RN proposal, we are targeting for a $15 million grant, which also helps us to have those plans in place with programs like this, where we can now put our inputs in on how to work together, especially if we are doing special projects for these communities at these locations. So Direfuse covers Louisiana, Texas, and Mississippi. Louisiana and Texas being two of the most poorest states in the nation, which allows us opportunities to bring RAPID technologies to these communities. So we are very excited about the technologies that we have developed with RAPID, but we need to bring it to these communities. So we are eager to work with RAPID to find ways in which we can bring that to these communities, because us being the universities in this region, we have that ability to get that ground connect, if you will, with these communities. And we know these issues at these community levels more than what rapid leadership at the central level may have. So
Oh,
what
absolutely.
I see, yeah, I wanted you to comment on these opportunities, if you will.
Right. And the way that we from Rapid need to work is the only way that we can work is through our members and potential members. I always call it our community, our network, right? I'm not going to get hung up whether you've signed the agreement 3 years ago or are thinking about it or paid your membership fee, but it's through our members, our community in these places. With Texas A&M, we've been close for many years, and we expand our network, we expand our community, we bring value by engaging. And we will do it through these collaborative projects and bringing folks into the community. And I would say intersection of communities, right? Rapid community grows, but it's not the only community. We want to be a community within other communities and networks. The Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi is one of the areas. The Appalachia is another area that with another set of folks, but we're very much focused on as well. We have a national footprint. That doesn't mean that it's a national in the sense that it's a collection of communities as well at that level.
Yes. And Ignacy, on the same note, you are very well connected to the federal agencies and federal government. And we have seen the Infrastructure Investment Jobs Act come into play, the infrastructure bill that was passed a couple of, I think, last year. Could you comment on what the federal agencies and government is thinking in that regard in general, but also what the focus areas are and how Rapid is engaged in those activities?
That's a great question, and one that I spend a lot of time talking, thinking, and it's one of my passions. So it's wonderful to see these things going forward in which many of the topics we care about are connected. So there's, I'm an engineer, a technology R&D is in my blood, but that has to bring benefits to people, has to not bring benefits. It has to be done by people. It has to bring benefits to these people. And I think currently the federal government is really seeing that, is really looking on how to benefit all sectors of society, and particularly emphasis on those sectors of society. And I would say sectors not just in social, but also geographic and many other ways that have not been properly served in the past and have not had the seat at the table that they deserve. So a focus on getting folks get those benefits, be part of the development, and reach some of the benefits. At the same time, this ability of putting jobs, putting technology development, addressing emergency and resiliency in those regions where they need it, and to work with the folks on the ground, local governments, state governments, universities, nonprofits, what have you, companies, small companies, particularly those owned by minorities and women in those locales, to do that work. And I believe there is a real desire to use some of that funding to do that work. It is not easy. It's oftentimes much easier for large federal organizations to just give a grant money and give project money to the large organizations, because you have to work with one or two or three instead of hundreds. But at the same time, if you want to really make a difference, you want to really address those diversity and inclusion and participation and ideas, you have to work with those folks. Some organizations like Rapid, like the group we're talking about here, are the right um, glue organizations that can make that connection between, departments of energy and the NSF and others, to bring that connection, to say, hey, you don't need to create yet more networks. We have the networks here, and we can work with you through them. We know the people, we know them. They can work with us. They can work through us. There was the infrastructure bill last year. There is talk of a lot of, billions. Everything's about the billions dollars to benefit those communities. We just need to make sure that when that money is allocated, it goes to the right people, and it goes to do the work that it's meant to do. And that's sometimes some of the difficulties, not the desire, but is the actual application of it.
Absolutely. And so one thing that I've really taken from Rapid's inception, as well as Rapid's like the course that Rapid has run for the first like set of years that DOE funded Rapid. Rapid is probably equipped to help new companies or new startups. So could you comment on that a little bit?
Yeah. So and that's, we all have to make reflections on how we have done in the past, and bring in more small and medium companies into Rapid is a core priority for us. I think to do that, we probably need to look in more expansive ways that we have looked in the past. It's, sometimes being part of the ICHE is also a bias that we, for us, and when people look at us, people sometimes consider, oh, well, we don't do technology, we don't do engineering. That's not our network. That's not true. We have to make sure people understand that bringing application, building equipment, building these units, running them in these distributed ways, from very small companies, it's part of what we are. We have obviously very well-defined membership levels and fees and all that, but we always will bring people in. We always will understand what people can and can't do. And what I would say is, we always see that the more engaged companies are, and I'm particularly looking at smaller companies, the startups, and the like, the more engaged they are, and engagement, it's not free, but doesn't cost a lot of money either. It's time and effort. The more value it's gotten. We have constantly heard from smaller companies coming to us. We talk membership, but it's not the end all and end all. Many times we connect them with others in our network, and they can derive business. Other times they can help them do demonstrations so that they can show their ideas and then derive business from it. Let's talk. Let's work together, connecting people. That's something we want to do, and no company or no idea is too small for us.
Yes, and that's something that we really, while we were developing the roadmap for Rapid, that was our idea, to get to those small mom and pop shops and fabricators even, so that they can build their business with common knowledge sharing through Rapid Institute's perspectives.
Absolutely.
We are looking forward to your visit to College Station, but we have one full day of workshop. If you have anything that you would like to share with us beforehand, so that we can distribute to the participants, that will be great. But also we are looking forward to the partnership with Rapid and planning this SRS grant with Rapid Institute. And thank you for your leadership as well as your time for us today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Looking forward to coming to College Station in a couple of weeks and working with you and preparing the work for the future, right, from our collaboration and growing it.
Thank you. Thanks,
All
Ignace.
right.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody, and have a great weekend.